Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Sims World. We're going to get into it right away because we have something special planned for this episode. We are going to invite over the grandparents of little Noah, and we're going to get to meet both Jonah's parents and his siblings, and Iris's parents and her siblings. And they will finally get to see their little grandchild as well, which is Noah. So let's get into it. Okay, guys, so we are back. Right now, Jonah's on the computer, and Iris is going to the bathroom. But I think, first off, we're going to start off with Jonah's parents. And so I am going to go ahead and invite them around and see if they would want to come over. But I'm not actually sure that I'm going to be able to record that part until they get here. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, guys, so I am having Iris invite around her family first, being that it's a little bit shorter and it's going to be a little bit easier to explain who each person is first. And it looks like everyone is coming over. That is great. So she does have a little bit of a family, and they are starting to arrive already. So we are going to introduce everyone real quick to who. Okay, guys, so we're just waiting for one more person to arrive. So far, we have two other people here. So I am going to go ahead and pause it real quick and just briefly explain to you guys who these people are. So the person that Iris is hugging here right now is her little brother, and his name is Chad Simpson. And a little bit of backstory for him is he was born very natural, very normal, just like Iris. They grew up kind of like a modern family, and they grew up kind of like modern, not really that best on like money-wise, and so he didn't always get what he wanted, much like Iris, but Iris grew up and got married. Iris is obviously the older sister, so he's still in high school, and that's where he is. And then this woman over here is Iris's mother, and her name is Lori, and it's Lori Simpson. And so a little bit of backstory from her is she grew up from a quite abusive family, and her parents didn't really care much for her. So as a teenager, she got pregnant very early with Iris. And then she had Iris with her current husband now, we're still waiting to arrive. But they did the right thing. They had Iris, they raised her, and then they went on to have Chad and raised him the best to their abilities. So that is pretty much her backstory. Now we're waiting for the dad to show up, so we'll be here in a second. But in the meantime, it looks like they're all quite getting along. We're still waiting on one more person to show up. I don't know why he didn't show up, but well, we are just going to talk a little bit, and then I am going to have Jonah maybe eventually just show off Noah to Lori. Or actually, I don't, and the game is saying that they don't know each other, so maybe I'm actually going to go ahead and just kind of get him to introduce himself, I guess, because according to the game they don't know each other, which is quite awkward. So he is going to go out there and meet the family, and finally the Iris's father has showed up. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. His name is Carter, and his name is Carter Simpson. Again, him and Lori met very young. They were teenagers, and Lori had gotten pregnant with Iris, and then they did the right thing and raised her, and then going on to raise Chad as well. Currently still raising Chad, but his childhood was a little bit different. His childhood was quite easygoing. His mom really didn't do much about it. His dad was never really in the picture, but his mom was always in the picture for him. But his mom really kind of let him raise himself, so he wanted to be a little bit better parent in a way than that, and kind of be more involved in his children's lives, which I think is why him and Iris will get along very well. So that's a little bit of backstory about each of these three new characters that you possibly will be seeing more into in the series. So let's get them a little bit to talk a little bit more, and then maybe tomorrow in Sims World, being that it is 5:20 or 5:42 in Sims World, they will get to talk a little bit more. And looks like everyone's kind of getting along. Everyone's going well. Everything's going well. But they still do not know much about the pregnancy. I don't even think that Iris is told her family about the pregnancy yet. But I think that she's probably going to allow Jonah to show off the baby to Carter and Lori. So that's what we're going to have them do right now. So give me a second. So it looks like he's going to show Carter first what's going on. I don't know how Carter's going to take it, but it looks as if Carter's just standing in the middle of the thing. And now he's realizing that the TV's there, but we're going to try and show him... Or no, Chad is now in the room. So Chad knows about the baby, but the parents don't. So we're going to try to get the parents to actually come in the apartment now and meet little Noah. Okay, so we're going to try this again now. That took a little bit of time to get them to actually come in the house. But it looks like we're going to be able to try this again now. We're going to show off the baby to Lori first. Okay, well, they seen the baby at least. It didn't quite work as well, but they did see the baby. So that's what our plan was, even though the baby's a little bit upset right now. So I am going to have Iris suit that out since she's in the way of the baby right now. I'm going to have her suit that out. Okay. While she suits that out, it looks like Chad is done. He's seen everything he wanted to see. But the family is still here, and they're just kind of hanging around the apartment a little bit, and just kind of rekindling a little bit of a family bond with their daughter, which is always great. So we're just going to talk a little bit, and then they will head home, being that it is quite getting late in Sims World. It's getting to 9 o'clock in Sims World, which is always okay, but it's getting kind of late, especially when you have a baby. And then in the morning, we're going to try to invite around Jonah's family, which is a little bit different. And we'll have some key hints in here for a couple new storylines coming up. So just bear with me here. Hold on a minute. Okay. For a happy introduction. Okay. I just wanted to make sure because that one thing there that happened was quite awkward, and it looked like Jonah was flirting with Lori, which would have been quite awkward, especially being that Iris was literally right there, and they are like son-in-law and that. So oh, okay, I get it. It's not Jonah that's doing it. It's actually Lori blowing kisses to Carter, which is okay because they're husband and wife. I just figured that out, but I just wanted to set aside all that weirdness at the door beforehand. But So I think it is kind of getting late in Sims World. So I am going to pause it and have the fam go to sleep. And then we're going to invite around Jonah's family. Okay, so Iris is up. It is 7 a.m. in the morning, and now Jonah's up as well. So that's great. Iris is just going to get a little bit washed up and all that, and not in the bathroom. Meanwhile, Noah is going to be taken care of by his dad, and then we have a slight different plan for meeting Jonah's family. I think we're going to go out to eat at a restaurant here in Sims World to meet the family, because I don't think that Jonah is quite ready to introduce his family into the whole thing for a certain reason I'll be getting to in a little bit. And so what we're gonna do for now is pause the video, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, everyone, so we actually decided on going to the park instead of going out to eat, because I got to create a restaurant for them to go to. But let's talk about Jonah's family briefly to explain how everything going about is, and who each of them are to Jonah, and how they fit into Jonah's life. First things first, we have Catherine Hussein. Now, Catherine is actually the biological sister of Jonah. Now, she's just a little bit younger than Jonah, not very much. She's actually Jonah's fraternal twin sister. She looks totally different than Jonah. In other words, she's not supposed to look identical, but they are twins. And then we have little Cameron here. Cameron Hussein is Jonah and Catherine's adopted little brother. And he was adopted fairly recently. His background is pretty much unknown. We don't know much about him. But as for Catherine, she's kind of been like a good twin sister. She's always kind of being like a kind-hearted person, and she's very distraught over her mother's death. Now, her mother's death comes at the hands of one of these two gentlemen. This one here is Reed Hussein. Reed Hussein is actually the biological father of both Jonah and Catherine, and the adopted father of Cameron. Now, he was married to a woman, and somehow she mysteriously passed away, or she died, in other words, and nobody knows how or what happened. But he just recently got her insurance money, and I think part of that money she wrote in her will goes to the twins, meaning Catherine and Jonah. So that's partially why they are meeting up. And the last person here is coming up. But I want to tell you one more thing about Reed. He's always been a good father. He's always wanted to be a part of his children's lives. But he is also trying to take advantage of the death as well by keeping the money. And once his kids found out that they had the money, they want their part of it as well. But last and not least, we have Emmett Hussein. Now, Emmett is actually the now husband of Reed. But the fun fact about Emmett is he is also the man responsible for the death of their mother. The only people that know this, though, is Reed. So, nobody knows that Emmett is actually responsible for the death of their mother, but he somehow brainwashed Reed to get married to him and be in a relationship with him and eventually adopt little Cameron together. However, these two, the twins, do not know a thing about that. But it looks like they will be getting their money today. And everyone is going to be talking about that. And they're also going to reveal that they have a little child as well, little Noah. So here we go. We are going to talk a little bit and then we are going to go home. But I don't think that they're going to spend much time together. I think that this family is kind of like a broken family. No one really wants to spend much time together. The only one that might want to spend time with is Catherine. And that is because I think that Jonah still is upset with his father for getting with Emmett, because I think Jonah has his suspicions about who killed his mother, but they don't know for sure. With that said, I don't think this is going to go very well, but so it looks as if it's going to pretty much end out very early, and I think that's what we're going to do now. For a couple reasons, I think they got their money. Catherine had given their money, but it looks as if they're not really even paying attention to Jonah at all. And Iris has kind of gone off and done her own thing. So we're going to go ahead and head home now. They didn't really even get to share their news of Noah, but I don't think that they're really worried about that right now. So let's just head home and we'll see you in a minute. Okay guys, so we are back and in our account now we have $350,000, and I'm going to read you what the will had stated according to what Catherine had given a letter to Jonah about. Okay, so this is the letter that Catherine has given Jonah to read, which was actually found by Catherine in the house that they live. It was written by their mother, and it says, "I hereby give you and your sister $700,000 to split between you both. Shall I ever be death? I wish my children well. As if you are reading this, just know I'm in fear for my life. Your father's friend Emmett is freaking me out. But always remember, I love you. Love, Mom." This was the last piece of evidence that they had. So it looks as if Jonah now knows that Emmett might have a little bit of a thing of what happened to his mother. And also, Catherine might know a little bit as well. And they now have $350,000 as well. So I think I'm going to go ahead and end it out there. I know this episode was kind of up and down with the way it went, but I still think it was quite an interesting episode. We did learn a little bit of the backstory for both Iris and Jonah, and we've seen where they each come from, whether it's good, bad, or a little bit sinister. You gotta admit that Jonah and Iris are doing pretty well for themselves. We don't know what's going to happen. We might even explore more with this whole Emmett thing. But as for now, we're going to go ahead and end it out. So, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys all next week for another episode of Sims World.